Hey everybody, it's Romania Black. We are on episode 13 of Modao Zushi. We are nearing the end of the first season, which is blowing my mind. I mean, we're going to go straight into season 2, but the fact that this flashback apparently has possibly 3 episodes left, I feel like there's still lots of things to happen. So I'm confused. I was told by my friend Wu on Patreon, she's not been spoiling me at all, which I'm thankful for. But the only thing she did say, I told her I'd watched episode 12, and she was like, okay, well, I would advise watching 13 and then 14 and 15 and in the same sitting. And I was like, okay. So I don't know what to make of that. But last episode, there wasn't as much plot development, I guess, in terms of linear of them moving towards the mountains and where Yanli apparently is and where Wanji's crew is waiting for them or trying to get them there. There wasn't so much as terms of that, but it was a lot more in developing character and establishing the relationships between the characters we have already. I feel bad for everyone. I feel bad for Cheng, who doesn't have his core anymore, who is pretty much useless right now, and who's just lost his parents and thought for a second that his, foster brother had defected from him to the people that killed his parents, and was just all kinds of just devastated. And it's so sad. I felt so bad for his breakdown last episode. And I feel bad for Wushin, because Wushin has to deal with the fact that his brother is powerless and that he inadvertently is somewhat responsible perhaps for everything that's gone down, and he knows it, and just him dealing with everything. It's like Wushin's not had a good time with any of this either. And then Ning, precious cinnamon bun Ning, who's basically defecting from his own clan. That was another thing, and I'm sure you all commented way in the comments about this and corrected me, and thank you for that. But I was told that after questioning on Patreon, I was told that the clan, that Ning and his sister are part of the Wen clan. They're just from a lower sect of it. And I'm like, okay, so they are Wens. They're just not like the main Wens. They're the sect that are the doctors. And I'm like, cool. So I really like the setup then of Ning, because Ning really wants to be Wushin's friend now that Wushin, Wushin was kind to him, and so he's returning that kindness tenfold. And the episode was called Loyal Heart. So it's like, who are you loyal to? You're loyal to your family and your friends. And so, man, so I appreciate that. And knowing what we know now about Ning and Wushin summoning him, and I went back and watched episode 2, and he's like, bring me someone that can help out. And it's like, it's Ning. Of course it's Ning. And it's like, And then Wanji, when Wanji is like, he's like, Wei Ying, like his voice breaks. I couldn't. I was like, rewatching that, I was like, oh, buddy. That just tugs at your heartstrings. And him and Kieran going against the clan, being like, we gotta rally everybody together, but this is not the time to be conservative. This is the time to fight back. And it's like, oh, we're setting so much stuff up. We're setting so much stuff up with these last 3 episodes. We're setting up that Cheng can't fight because he doesn't have his core, that Wushin feels bad about it, that Wushin has offered to take him to his mother's who his mother was a disciple of, Boshan Sangren, to talk about getting the core back, which sounds sketch. Sounds super sketchy. It sounds too good to be true. Like, there's got to be a monkey's paw or something that's some kind of trade-off there. I don't trust it. But they're off to figure out that. There's Ning and his sister. The Yiling thing was tossed around. There's Wanji them trying to gather up with Yanli and them. And then the Wens are on the run looking for them. And it's all congregating and gathering together. And we still don't know about Shu, about the first son of Ruhan. We haven't even met him yet. We've just had Chao and his core melting hand, and that's been it. And so there's still so much to explore, and I have a feeling that last episode was such a transitional one and to build up those bonds that I'm hoping that these last 3 episodes we get some plot development, and I think we will. So but I'm so excited to see what happens, guys. I'm really, really curious. Thank you all so much for watching, and for not spoiling me, and the comments and everything. They've been so good week to week, and they have me really excited for season 2. But if season 2 starts in the present, I am going to feel a little bit sad if we're just getting towards the end of the flashback, because it's going to be cool to go back to the present, especially now that we know what we know already. of what's gone down. But I might want to do like a live chat where we go back and rewatch episodes 1 and 2 after this is over before diving into season 2. Might want to do something like that, because that would be kind of fun to go back and do that, or do something on Patreon, or see, maybe do a viewing on Discord of watching the first 2 episodes. That could be a lot of fun too. Might do that. So, with that being said, let's dive into episode 13. Oh, good old lucky episode 13, right? We're going to start this here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and here we go. Oh my gosh! Just this episode! There's so much that happened. And it just, right from the start, it was just like, oh, you know, last episode was kind of low-key. We took a long time developing and getting these nice, intimate moments with Cheng and Wuxian. Nah! We just cut right into it. There's still parts of it that I'm hoping episodes 14 and 15 dive into that I'm still like, but let's talk about that. So, oh my gosh, this episode. So lots of things came up that I didn't want to talk about in the moment because there was just so much happening. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I'm imagining reading the novel, there's going to be so much extra detail that they just don't explain in the moment in here that I'm like, okay. But here's the thing. Fatal position. Right off the bat. So when we first came into the Yiling, it was so crazy because I was expecting, the only thing I've heard of associated with Yiling has been the burial ground. So I was like, oh, this place isn't scorched and looks awful. This looks like a beautiful place. And Wuxian's like, okay, look, there's no beasts here. It's all pretty tranquil. It's just blindfold yourself and walk up the mountain. Otherwise it's taboo. So clearly it's a very secretive society and cultivation school that they don't want people, they don't just let people just walk in. Which I find interesting. Wuxian this entire time did not seem happy about Cheng going up there. Like he was worried for him. Like he was worried something bad would happen. And he said, if they ask, you're the son of my mom. Don't reveal your true identity. And so I like that he's like, I'm sending you because they'll help you. If they know the situation that the Sanren woman sent her kid away to the Zhang clan, so they know what happened. So apparently it worked. Apparently, we don't get confirmation because I kept expecting him to like crack off his whip. I expected him during the meeting to like crack the whip and show that he had the spiritual power back, but he didn't. So I'm assuming we're going to see that next episode when they actually face the winds. So I guess he got the core back. I really thought Wuxian was like going to give his core to him, but I guess I'm hoping we get confirmation of how it happened and what all he encountered, because I'm like, are we just off screen not going to know anything about this Boshan guy at all? It's kind of vague. I don't know. Interesting. But I'm curious about that. But yeah, Wuxian didn't seem happy that he was separated from him. So I guess he was just worried that, knowing Cheng's mental state, and how angry he was, that was going to be a problematic element. But holy cow. And then out of nowhere, the core melting hand like attacks him out of nowhere and lands a shot on him. And then he just gets stabbed in the chest, and that looked like a pretty critical hit. I was like, I thought that was near his heart, and I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that, because that seems like it was like a mortal wound. But yeah, and we saw this like purple for a second, and I thought for a second it was the whip, and I was like, oh, Cheng's back. Nope. And then yeah, that hits him like right in the heart or the lung. So I'm like, right there in the lung. So I'm like, how did Wuxian make it that far? That seems like a really mortal wound. But okay, there's a part here where the core melting hand stares at his hand after he hits Wuxian. Like he stares at it like did I not do my job? Like, he stares at it like something weird happened. And I'm curious what that hesitation was. Like, if he actually made it go away or what. So I'm curious. That part where he just stared at his hand, like, really threw me off and distracted me. Like, why'd you do that? Why'd you do that, show? Giving us those tiny little micro expressions. Why? Does it mean something? Tell me what it means. And so, and then Wuxian being like, I will haunt you. If you kill me, I will haunt every last one of you. And so then, of course, because Chao's a jerk, he's like, oh, you want to be a ghost? Well, I'll take you to where that can happen. And they take him to the dang burial grounds. This battlefield with all these corpses. And I'm assuming in the ED we see him standing atop the burial ground. So I'm guessing he gets the power of the resentful energy and controls it and channels it and is like, here we go. I'm going to get y'all back. The birds and everything flying. Oh, and it's just, and they shoved him off. I was like, holy cow. This episode went from like 0 to 100 in like 5 seconds. I was like, what is happening? It's a very 300-esque shot of him falling down. Like, the animation's just been top tier this episode. And I was like, holy crap. So yeah. And of course, who shows up too late? Dang Ouji. Dang Ouji. And him looking all concerned and like sad. It's like, Ouji has developed so many emotions in this show, especially in the last 4 episodes. Like, his brother's been missing, his best friend, possibly love, has been missing. Like, and then this spiritual, okay, first of all, before we get to the spiritual inquiry, the metaphor of the blood flowing from the winds, like the blood overflowing and cascading across the land. Like, what a cool visual metaphor. Like, I love that. I love it. So my computer started acting up like right when I got to the golden tower, and so I had to like restart that scene. So if it cuts, that's what that was. But yeah, the clan leader, Olin, or Jin clan leader. So the famous womanizer and everything. Yeah. So I was thinking back to episodes 1 and 2 and wondering, at first I was wondering if the Jin clan just doesn't really fight in this battle, and that's how they all are relatively unscathed. Like, that's how Ling's still around, all of that. But that's not the case. So they end up fighting, it looks like, at the end of this episode, but that just crossed my mind. I was stewing on it the whole episode, being like, okay, is the Jin guy going to kind of like try to back away and be neutral to see who wins, and then everything ends up all hunky-dory? That's what I was thinking, so I'm not sure. This spiritual inquiry thing is so freaking cool. Like, just the waves. It's kind of like the opposite of resentful energy, which is interesting. But when it like plays the little chord back to him, it's like a little spiritual. It's like a little pretty Ouija board. Like, just like, and I assume he's trying to like channel and see if anybody's seen Wuxian, and they haven't. But then Zishan comes back. Zishan pulling a Gandalf from Lord of the Rings, like bringing in all the armies. He's just like, hey, I've not been sitting around doing nothing these last few months. I have been gathering all of the leftover clans that the winds usurped this entire time that are ticked off and don't like it. I've been gathering clan members, creating an army. I've been doing what I need to do. And I'm like, Zishan, I freaking love you. And I just love that Ouji gets to have his brother back. And it's like, I got a lot of Lord of the Rings vibes in this, which I love Lord of the Rings, so I was all for it. I was like, yep, having all of the feels. But this whole spiritual inquiry is really cool. Very, like, days have passed. So we get the idea that days have passed since Wuxian and them went missing. And yeah, you would think that they would have announced it, which is weird because they pushed him off the cliff, but I guess they just don't want to make a big deal about it. Or they don't want to until they find Cheng. How could he disappear into thin air? Somebody will answer my inquiry. Like, just someone will... I love that. He just waves his hand and wafts it away. Somebody will answer eventually. And I like this idea of Wanji being blessed by heaven and Wuxian's like in the depths of hell, like the heaven and hell metaphor in this like representation of this episode is really on point. Just saying. Oh my gosh. But yeah, and the whole time that Zishin is going up there to the cloud recesses with this cloaked figure, I'm like, that's Cheng. That's so Cheng. I was waiting for it to happen. I was waiting for the whip to pop out, and then that would be the sign that Cheng is back. But Cheng, I'm conflicted, because on the one hand, Cheng looks like so powerful in this scene, like he's projecting himself, like his voice is deeper, he's standing tall, he's clearly confident, so that makes me believe that his core was returned. But on the other hand, and maybe it's because we don't really have time in the moment to stew on it, but on the other hand, he doesn't ask about Wuxian at all. He doesn't ask about how his brother is or make any mention of him. And I don't know if that's going to be brought up in the next episode and we're going to flash back to him asking about it when Zishin found him. But it's not brought up. And so part of me is like, okay, well, we'll flash back and find out about that later. But the other part of me is like, this is Cheng's moment to be a clan leader and to step up and be a leader. And so this is one of the first times we've seen Cheng without Wuxian in a position where he can be leaderly. And so maybe he's just deliberately not thinking about it because, you know, at the time we don't have time to worry about it. But he also wants to prove that he kind of wants to prove himself in that moment. So, but I wanted to at least mention Wuxian, because Wuxian's kind of, if he got his core back, that's all on Wuxian. That's Wuxian's doings, you know. Also, I have to say, the Ni clan leader, I love him. I love him. He just has this, like, I don't care if I die, I'm going down swinging attitude. And I'm like, he probably will die in this. But like I said in the reaction, it's going to be awesome and badass to see. And I'm going to be sad if he dies. But I'm also like, this dude's going to put up one hell of a fight. And I kind of want to see it. I'm like, yes, please. But just the shot of all the clan members and Jin just kind of being like, and Cheng looks so confident. It's like, ugh. And then, meanwhile, the Sunshot campaign, which is such a cool title, the Sunshot, because they're going to shoot down the sun. And meanwhile, speaking of shooting down the sun, the land of no sun, at this point, Wuxian's been stabbed, his core is possibly melted, and he's in this just land of resentful energy that Chao was like, well, once you go down there, your soul and stuff's going to be just sucked up by this resentful energy, and you're just going to be part of it. And there's some creepy symbolic stuff going on in this. Like the mist and the resentful energy trying to like enter him and like take possession of him and like consume him. And he has like the vision of him as a kid, like the visions of him with his sister and his brothers at the Lotus Pier. And then it flashes to Wanji. And then Wanji's like trying to reach him, almost like the spiritual inquiry. He's trying to call out his name. And the resentful energy just all like goes inside of him. And then he has that red electricity because that's his spiritual energy, and it like resonates. And there's this creepy, like the resentful energy like becomes this manifestation, and it like is like kind of vampiric, like clutching onto him, and all of these hands of resentful energy like trying to reach through him and take control of him. And like the color drains from his face, and it's like trying to contort him and like shooting up through him like in his veins like before. And for a second it looks like, and then it all like, it's like the turtle skin in episode 9. The turtle skin was cracked, and in beneath it was all this red blood and energy. And that's what this is too. And it tries to take him over and enter him, like it's going to possess him. And he says no. And then he flashes back to his parents dying, or to the Cheng clan dying. And then he opens his eyes, and like everything surrounding him, all of this energy and all this like stuff, and then nothing. So I'm thinking like he channels it, and he's gonna, like, it's part of him, and he's gonna use it, and this is how it happens. But we don't know. We don't know. This episode was just crazy. Craziness. And we got 2 left of the season. Are you kidding me? I've been told to watch 14 and 15 together. And I've got questions to ask on Patreon before I do that. So, but holy crap, this episode. I need some things to happen at the start of next episode. We still haven't seen Yanli. I'm assuming she's okay because nobody's made a big deal about it. I'm glad Zishan's back. That checks that box off. And we've got all the clans. We're the Sunshot campaign. We're getting ready to fight the winds. That will be a bloodbath. So we got that happening. But there's things that I still want to see. Like, we still have to find out about Yanli. I want Cheng to at least reference the Sonrins and getting his core back, if that actually happened, or if he's just been bluffing this whole time. And to mention where the heck Wushin is. And for Wushin's whole deal. And just... I just need answers. Even if I don't get them this season, if I have to wait till season 2, that's fine. But, man, the suspense, y'all. The suspense is killing me. So there's that. Anyway, this episode was awesome. I'm so excited to do episodes 14 and 15. It's gonna be crazy, and I'm kind of here for it. So I'm curious to know what you all thought down below. Please no spoilers, especially because we're entering the last 2 episodes. But I'm so excited, guys. I hope y'all are too. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe and take care. And yeah, next week, episode 14 of Modao Zushi. Bye.